Check. Today I'm going to document the whole process of me recording an intro song to a podcast. I want to see if I can play all the instruments and it at least sounds good. I'm going to start with the guitar riff. For sure I'm not the only one that does this, but I like to record stuff in the voice memos of me just playing around with riffs so I don't forget them. I think I have one in there that's very much in the style of the Black Keys, and I think that's kind of a cool intro for a podcast that maybe is dealing with sports or if it's dealing with something edgy. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's see what I got. So that's the basic idea. Let me figure out what I played there, and then we'll figure out the BPM and go from there. Got the BPM figured out, it's 128. I got that, ran into my signal. I got headphones here, but the first thing I want to do is record the riff on the guitar playing with the metronome, so let's do that. Let's see if I can not mess this up. Probably gonna mess it up. I think that guitar take was good enough. We'll do the drums now. And this is the weakest instrument I play, so it's not going to be great. Alright, let's see how bad that was. Let me just explain how I have stuff set up, just so if anybody's curious. I've got my guitar set up over there. It's got a looper. I play the riff, it loops. I come back here. Here's my mixer / recorder. This thing's pretty cool. It records all isolated tracks, so I'm able to mix it in post. And it works for what I'm doing right now. The drum mic situation is I got a snare top and bottom, one mono overhead, and a kick drum, and that's it. This one is coming from the looper into this channel, channel 1, nothing channel 2, channel, I think this is the overhead, snare top and bottom, and then we got the good old bass drum, so that's what that is. And in this one I have the metronome, but I really don't keep that track. That's just so I could play halfway in time, and that's what that is. Everything is recorded to an SD card, which is pretty cool, and it comes in handy, so we'll put the files in the computer and we'll see how bad my playing is. So you might be wondering, what DAW are you editing in? Well, I'm doing this in Final Cut. Yes, I know that's not a proper audio editing software, but I'm fairly knowledgeable in it. I did try to download Logic, but I got to update my operating system. And so right now I'm just doing this. It has all the basic stuff that I need, like compressors, gates, EQs, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm putting this together in. I got my tracks in here. The first thing I do is get all the waveforms to be healthy. And I do this by adding gain to them. I record low just so in case if I peak something, it's not totally squashed. So I'm going to add more gain to it to get those looking better. These are my two snare, the top and bottom. I'm going to group those together just so it's easier for me to mix. The next step that I do is I EQ each track. This is the overheads. I'll just get rid of like the rumble, so I'll apply a high pass filter at the beginning and just kind of get things sounding halfway decent standalone. I know you're supposed to mix with everything playing, but I honestly don't know what I'm doing, so this what feels right. For EQing the bass drum and snare, I've been using these cheat sheets. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about EQ and the different frequencies because I feel like that is a very important thing to know. I've got everything laid out now. The next step that I do is I am going to use compression to tame these levels and make it sound more like one, I don't know, bring it together, tighten it up. Yeah, I'm about to record the bass part, but yeah, I just have this going into a little Sonic Cake. It's called Pocket Master, which is like a little effects box thing, and then that's going into the Focusrite interface into my computer. I'm using the record voiceover function in Final Cut to record this in Final Cut, so I'm not having to open up a DAW and do all that stuff. Let's do it. Nope. I goofed. I think I'm going to try this with a little bit of a distorted bass and see what it sounds like. So let's see. Now I'm thinking about how to make it even heavier, and I think I need some doubled guitar stuff. So I want to try that next. Here we go. This cool little thing I got off of Amazon. I think I paid $60 or $70 for it, but it's like a little mini effects box, and I ran both the bass guitar and the lead guitar through this for the song. Ran it right into the interface, so there we go. Quick note about the bass guitar. I got this probably when I was like 15 for Christmas, and I think I've changed the strings once on it, maybe around like 2009 or 10. Yeah, these strings are pretty dead, but they'll work for what I'm doing right now. Now I've got all the tracks to like a healthy level, I feel like, and I've applied compression and used some of the used EQ to make sure that everything is not on the same frequencies, like making room for the bass drum and the bass guitar, and making sure that the guitar isn't taking up space that the bass drum needs to be in, if that makes sense. Next, I'll just clean everything up, probably gate the snare. I've got my gate on the snare. This is the snare right here. Here, let me bypass that so you can see it. So that's what it looks like normally. I'm just going to go through manually and do these because I think these are either like the bass drum hits, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. And here comes the snare right now. And that's what I really want. So I'll just go through manually because it's a 30-second song and I could just duck those down. So I'm working on my kick, gating it. I'm going to have to do the same thing. There's a few frequencies that sneaks through the gate, like that guy right there. So I'll just go through and manually get rid of that, but the noise gate did clean it up quite a bit. And here's my settings. I'm basically adjusting the threshold to where it's just getting the bass hits, and then adjusting the release to make sure that it trails off nicely and doesn't just abruptly stop. I've copy and pasted the same tracks on here just in case I've messed something up. I still have this I could go back to, but I'm going to take these and make them into a group so I can apply maybe a little bit of compression for the final track that will be exported. So here's the finished track, and to me it sounds halfway decent. The entire purpose of me recording this was to see if I could come up with a riff, record it on all the instruments, edit it, and export it and be done quickly. So this song, if you will, is about 30 seconds long, and it's taken me about 2 hours to do everything, which isn't bad. Writing and recording the song was a good exercise for me to practice my audio recording skills. The reason that I'm posting this is that I want you guys that are good at it to tell me what I could do better. I know that I am out of practice, and even when I was doing a lot of audio recording, I was not the best at it. I'm using some of the techniques and stuff that I remember from many years ago, but I'm rusty, and even then some of those techniques were probably wrong. So if you have tips or you saw something I'm doing wrong, let me know. I enjoy doing this, so I'll probably do some more. Now I gotta get back to work and do stuff that actually makes me money. So bye.